The Happy Sugar Life anime series comes to an end. Do Sato and Shio find love, or does it all end in tragedy? Hello my friends, it's time that we take a look at the final episode of Happy Sugar Life. A beautiful, brutal, and bleak episode. This episode left me a little confounded with how it all wrapped up. I thought that there was going to be at least some form of a happy ending. No, this one mostly ends in extreme tragedy, with some characters kicking the bucket and some characters being changed emotionally for the rest of their lives. If you haven't watched this episode, spoiler warning right here, I'd recommend going to watch the end of the episode before jumping into this review. So let's just go ahead and jump in right here. This episode was just like a case of everything keeps getting worse. There was almost no way that Sato was going to get out of this situation unscathed, and this episode right here completely proved it. She's still trying to go through with her plan to leave the country with Shio, and her aunt is going to cover up all of the evidence by basically burning the entire apartment building down. That's the plan. They're even going to be putting Shoko's body inside of the apartment and have it get burned up so that they can cover up all of the evidence. What's especially crazy about this entire sequence of events is how quickly that they actually play out. Things just escalate very quickly in this episode, and pretty much every major player in the story comes together in this massive burning building, which just amplifies the tension oh so more. But let's just go ahead and talk about some of the individual characters first. First, there's Mitsuboshi, who has not only been sexually assaulted by Sato's aunt, but has been basically tied up, and it looks like he's going to be left there in the building to burn down along with it. This alone is incredibly disturbing, and honestly, I feel terrible for Mitsuboshi at this point. While he did sort of prey on Shio a little bit, he is a character who has been absolutely fucked up by adults, and Sato's aunt clearly didn't help him at all. If anything, he is way worse in this story, and throughout most of the episode, he's desperately trying to make it out of this burning building, and by the end, you actually find out that, yeah, he did escape, but still, there's not a happy ending for Mitsuboshi. He has been completely warped and affected by all of these women who have completely destroyed his life. But of course, the biggest confrontation in this episode is between Asahi, Sato, and Shio. He actually finally finds them for the very first time in the series, and I was elated at this moment. I'm like, oh yes, justice is finally going to be delivered, Sato is going to be captured, and Asahi is going to be reunited with his sister, and it's going to be all happy. But it ends up being the complete opposite. When he ends up getting trapped in a room with them, which is completely on fire, and after beating Sato with a bat, Shio is completely freaked out by her brother. She wants nothing to do with him anymore, including anyone associated with her previous family, as in that time, she was completely unhappy, she was mistreated, and there was no room for true happiness in her life, until she met Sato. And it's in this moment that I was trying to figure out, is Shio fully aware of the things that are going on here? Is she too young to sort of comprehend things? I mean, she clearly has feelings for Sato, maybe in a more motherly kind of way. She simply just knows that life with Sato is preferable to living with her crazy mom, her father who likes to continuously beat people, and her brother who brandishes a bat in order to save people. She looks at one thing, she looks at Sato, she realizes one of these things is better than the other, despite the fact that this chick stabs people in the neck. It's weird. I really do believe at this point that Shio fully understands everything that's going on in her life, and she's willing to go along with Sato if it means she doesn't have to be with her family anymore. The scene is so heartbreaking as Asahi has been spending the entire series looking for his sister, desperately devoting everything to that, and when he finally gets to his goal, he's rejected by her. It's absolutely sad. And then, of course, there's a big explosion of fire. Sato and Shio manage to escape, and they go to the roof of the building, where eventually they get trapped, knowing that, well, they're probably going to die in this moment. But even Shio manages to embrace Sato in a final moment, saying that she's okay dying with her as long as they both know that they love each other. And it goes back to the scene from the very first episode where they jump off of the building. But here's where the twist comes in. I was fully expecting both of these characters to actually die in this moment, but only one of them does. It's actually Sato. She actually decides to position her body in a way that she cushions Shio so that when she falls on the ground, Shio's able to survive, but Sato, of course, dies in the process, and we never see anything else from her from the rest of the series, which I think is kind of horrifying in some senses, as the final scene of the episode features Shio in a hospital being visited by her brother, and you get to see that Shio's entire personality has completely changed at this moment. In some ways, she still kind of rejects Asahi a little bit, and she still will never forget the kindness and love that came from Sato, to the point where it almost seems as if she's been sort of possessed by her ideals, so to speak. You can really see it in her eyes and in her expressions, and even though Sato might have actually died, it looks like she might be living on within Shio, which is a pretty horrifying prospect. And as for what happened to Sato's aunt, well, she had no problem in happily admitting that she was the one who actually decided to burn down the building. The scene is depressing and also kind of funny in just the way that she's so blunt about it. And who knows, maybe she's happy about going to prison. I'm sure she'll get plenty of beatings there. So what's the rundown on this episode of Happy Sugar Life? This was a really brutal finale. I didn't expect it to be this depressing, and I thought that maybe some of these characters were going to get out of this thing with their consciousness intact and maybe being better people, but everybody has been completely destroyed by these turn of events and all of the negative emotions of these people, and I'll be damned if it didn't depress me while watching it a little bit, especially Shio reuniting with her brother. I thought that that was going to be like a really triumphant moment of the series, the White Knight coming in to save the princess, and it was the exact opposite effect. Maybe it's because of Asahi just slowly but surely transforming into his father and becoming a more violent person that he ended up scaring Shio, but it just wasn't the reunion that I was really hoping for. I thought that there would be more justice, so to speak. That being said, it was satisfying watching him get a few licks in on Sato, but at the same time, it just ended up going nowhere. There's also the big revelation that the reason that Shio's mother actually abandoned her was not simply that she just didn't love her anymore, but that she was afraid of becoming just like her husband and eventually hurting her even further, to the point where when she returned home, we get to learn that the reason that Shio's father died is because her mother actually ended up poisoning him with a drink. Yep, she ended up murdering him, and that's just another one of the reasons why her entire family is completely unhinged. It makes sense why she would want to live with this bubbly, cute anime character as opposed to these fucking dark Addams Family styled people. It really does make sense in the mind of a child, but by the end of the series, she matures to the point where she actually realizes everything that's going on, she realizes she truly loves Sato, and she decides to go with her, and like I said, sort of to inherit her ideals and what it means to actually love someone by the end of the series. The cycle's going to continue, and it's probably not going to look too pretty. There is hope, of course, that Asahi and his mother will be able to reunite with Shio and have an actual loving family together, but it's hard to say the way that it all ends, with all of the characters just having a really sort of dark and bleak ending. It really affected me, to be perfectly honest, and it put me in kind of like a weird, shitty mood for a little while. But I think that that was its intention, and in that aspect, I think it did a really great job. It's also worth mentioning that this episode was just the most breakneck of the entire series. Just the whole burning building thing, and how crazy it was, and how quickly it escalated and started to go throughout the entire building, to the point where it was actually endangering the lives of everybody that was living in that building, so they all had to run out, and it was hard to escape. Basically, they didn't care if they had to kill a few people in the process as long as they could get out of there, as long as they could make it look natural and they could frame everything on the entire building going on fire. They could make a pretty good escape. But, man, this episode right here. And Sato's aunt. Sato's aunt in this episode was fantastic. Again, I think maybe the standout character of the entire series. Absolutely terrifying. Feels no remorse for the things that she does. And even takes pleasure in a lot of this. Like, when she confessed to the police at the end, that was like the only scene of the episode where I actually found myself laughing a little bit. If only for the expression on your face. Look at this crazy woman. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. This episode right here was a pretty good conclusion to the series, if a little depressing, so if you were hoping for a happy ending, you might be disappointed. But that's not the point of Happy Sugar Life. The point of Happy Sugar Life is, the age-old case of don't judge a book by its cover. That's what I did with this series initially. I was like, oh, this is just going to be some weird, creepy, cutesy anime about this older girl who loves a younger girl. Nope, it involved kidnapping and murder and all types of really messed up views on what love truly is. love is a complex thing, and I really do think it's the type of thing that can be incorporated into stories to always make it timeless, relevant, and something that you can ponder over. And you can file it under the section which is called Fucked Up. It's Happy Sugar Life. It's an anime series that you should definitely check out if you're looking for a crazy psychological horror drama. It has an amazing fast-paced ending, and it's almost unpredictable as long as you don't read the manga version, which supposedly isn't even finished yet. This might be an anime original ending, but I haven't read the manga version, so I'm just judging this one on its own merits, and I can honestly say that this is one of my favorite anime experiences of the year thus far. And it was a shocking one, because I typically don't watch shows like this at all, but I appreciate you guys for telling me to check it out, because it was really surprising, and I looked forward to it every week. So, yeah, I'm giving this episode a 5 out of 5. I think overall the series is a 4 out of 5. There are some weaknesses to the series, and there are some problems, but for the most part, I think this is a pretty good show for what it's trying to accomplish, and you should definitely check it out if this is your thing. So, that's my thoughts on this episode right here. I'd love to hear all of yours. If any of you guys did watch the episode, tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching this review. If you want to see any of my previous Happy Sugar Life reviews, make sure to look for the playlist on my channel, as well as for a ton of other anime and manga reviews that I am doing. Make sure when you do subscribe, you gotta hit that little bell notification icon. That'll let you know when all of my videos are being released. I also just released a brand new Smash Brothers video, which is my top 5 wanted Echo Fighters for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Please make sure to check that out. There will be a link for that video in the description box below, and at the very end of this video. You're probably already looking at it right now. Thank you guys for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down, baby.